We are going to talk about how to survive working with your spouse.
Maybe even thrive working with your spouse?
Maybe.
Okay.
I wouldn't push it. In this video, I am going to be talking with my illustrious husband, Joe, about how we have worked together for 15 years, how we've made it this far. So stick around for our best tips. I'm Jennifer Majori, founder of Catalyst Branding and Business Consulting, your place for power, purpose, profit, and peace. Most of the time.
Most of the time.
Mostly.
I am Joe Majori. I am the owner and designated broker of Desert Dimensions Properties in Scottsdale, Arizona. We are a full-service real estate brokerage. We work with buyers and sellers. We work in property management. And I have about a dozen agents who work under me.
And you started, so you got your license was in 2006?
Yes.
And I work with purpose-driven women entrepreneurs to grow their businesses. So I started my first business in 2005, and you got your license in 2006. So we started our businesses right around the same time, and we started off working out of our home together. We had our desks with our old school gigantic PCs and our landing at home, reading each other our emails like, what is this? How do you think this sounds? How does this sound? So we both have our own businesses, but we've been working together for a really, really long time. What do you like about working together?
I like lots of things about working together. I like both the pragmatic side of things, so I feel like there's lots of logistical advantages, but I also like working with you and spending the time with you and having you, everything from just having you around and being present I enjoy, but also the ability to bounce things off of you and have conversations with you and have my most trusted human being close by to get, bounce things off of and have conversations with.
I totally agree. I think that is definitely one of the greatest benefits of working with your spouse or with your partner is that you get to be with the person, hopefully, that you trust the very, very most. That is one of the greatest benefits, I think, of being able to work together. And we have combined our offices. So both of our businesses are in the same location, and we share our front desk person and our office manager. So that has been a benefit too, because we've got our two key people really understand the inner workings of our business and really, God love them, our personal lives. They really kind of have this overview of how everything works. So it's really helpful for us to have these people who are part of our team, but they're also very close to us in helping us to kind of keep everything running very smoothly. So that has been really beneficial for us too.
Absolutely.
What do you like about having your own business? So we work together and we're in the same office and we both are entrepreneurs, but what do you like about us having our own businesses maybe versus us having our own business together?
I feel like the things that I like about having my own business as it relates to you and I are the same things that I like about having my own business as it relates to me and the rest of the world, which is if there are certain decisions that need to be made on the fly, I can make those decisions. And if there are things that I feel like is a shift or a move that I want to make, those are things that I can do because it is my business.
Nobody's the boss of you.
True, yes. Nobody is the boss of me.
I think it's also good because I think sometimes so some of my clients who are spouses that work together, I think sometimes there is, even in the couples that get along really well, there's sort of this inherent kind of power struggle that can happen, or there are some times when people kind of step on each other's toes. And for some reason, I think with married couples, even when people really should have their own job descriptions and their own roles within their businesses, even if it's a small business. And I think for some reason, those lines get blurred in a marriage or in a romantic partnership when they're in business together. And I think that is kind of a nice thing for us, is that does not really happen. So we get to be in the same location and in the same office suite, and I can walk down the hall and close the door and freak out when something happens, or I can bounce an idea off of you.
Happens.
No, never. Never. Things are always smooth here. Those are all the nice things about working together. So now we're gonna get real. The real. What do you dislike about us working together?
Nothing.
You can tell the truth.
No, I genuinely don't have
Nothing.
I genuinely don't have any dislikes about us working together. I feel like
what do you wish was different?
I don't even know that I wish a lot of things were different. I think one of the downsides is that we end up with so much overlap that I feel like sometimes I might be complaining about a client or an experience or somebody that I'm doing a cross deal with, and I realize too late that you have been around it all day because you've been listening to me maybe complain about it all day, and then sometimes we go home and then I'm still complaining about it. There is a bit of mystery that is taken away from us because there are some days that we're out. There are some days where we're out and doing our own things independently, but there are other days, like, we will spend most of the day together today. So I think some of the negative is, at the end of the day, we have both had the entire shared experience of today. We have interacted with mostly the same people in our office. I mean, it does not leave a whole lot of, so how was your day, honey?
I think that can be good and bad. It's kind of that double-edged sword, because I think on one hand, especially when it comes to work, I think staying apprised of a situation and kind of having been there for it, it can be this really good thing, right? It's like when we're doing like employee reviews, for example, right? Because we did a review today, like that's this great thing, right? Like we were both there, so we both know what happened, and so later we can continue that conversation and we can do a follow-up with an employee. And it's not secondhand information. We were both there for it, and it was great. But sometimes you can sit down at dinner, and it's like, what are we going to talk about? Because we always
Video
have things
games
to talk.
with our
We're really
children.
good about always having things to talk about. But oh God,
Roblox.
no more
Minecraft.
Right, Minecraft. Couples who even work on one business together would experience this dynamic. It's really tough because I think as two entrepreneurs, we are so driven, and we never stop. And I think maybe where somebody, maybe a stay-at-home parent in a couple, or somebody who might have a career that leave their work at home at 5 o'clock might create more balance in that relationship dynamic. We don't do that. We kind of are always thinking about work. And so having two entrepreneurs who are always thinking about business and how to make things better and how to deal with things, are just, the buck stops with us. It's like there's always, something happening within our businesses. Our minds are always going. It's kind of something we think about when we first wake up. It's the last thing we think about at night. We're always, we love talking about our businesses and brainstorming on things. It's very hard for us to stop.
Us both being entrepreneurs, it increases the likelihood that we are going to become ungrounded at the same time, or both get caught up in work. I mean, there are times where, at 9 o'clock at night, you're doing work, and I'm like, I'll catch up on stuff. I got plenty of things that are waiting for me for tomorrow. So instead of me being the person saying, hey, shut that, let's watch a movie, I'm the person saying, I'm going to get a jump on tomorrow. And next thing you know, it's 11 o'clock or midnight, and we've been working for the last 6 hours.
Oh, that's so bad.
I know.
Yeah.
But it's good sometimes.
Sometimes.
And bad.
I think it's tough too, because something that we have talked about in the past is I think that we have this tendency sometimes to think that like time together is just sort of quality time, and it doesn't really like always count. And I think especially spending time in the office, I think couples that work together can get caught up in feeling like that's your time together. And it's really important to make sure that you're still getting that quality time and you're still having date nights, and that you really differentiate between kind of being the work people, like that's a separate role. And we are pretty casual and have fun here in the office, and we feel very much like we are ourselves, but we are still like the professional version of ourselves versus being like mostly I'm the professional version of myself at the office. But there's still a difference between being that kind of like boyfriend and girlfriend, like that kind of romantic partner of yourself that you get to be on a date night at home, and you have to make time to be that person with your partner. Time
together is not always time together. Like time, physical time being present in the same area. It's like we are together by definition during parts of the day, but we're not together and focused and giving each other uninterrupted attention, or talking about our hopes and dreams or our future or whatever. A lot of times it's our time together is filled with pragmatism. We are talking about like the logistical things to get through tasks and projects and goals, and that's cool.
And let's face it, sometimes as entrepreneurs, those are like our dreams and our goals, but sometimes there is something a little bit more left to be desired.
Right. We have done, those conversations have served us very well. We have done very well because we get to have those discussions so much. We work well together, but it is important to realize that we are not on a date. We're in our conference room. We are not, it's like we're not going for a walk. We are sitting in my office. Like those are not the same things. I mean, they're just not.
The only other thing that this is more like in the past, because luckily having a steady paycheck hasn't been an issue in a really, really long time. But I do think that in the early days, especially, being self-employed a couple of years right before the Great Recession, oh my gosh, that was the terrible part of being self-employed together, was not having a steady paycheck. And of course, during the recession, I don't know that a lot of people really felt like having a job was necessarily a great sense of security. But I do think that that's a tricky part for couples that work together, whether they're in the same business or two different businesses. But that is a tricky part, I think, is feeling financial security before you get to a place where your businesses are in a mature stage. Like that was a tricky thing early on.
Even outside of jobs, I mean, neither one of us have businesses that sell widgets. I mean, we have long sales cycles. We have, pipelines that are long view. I mean, I have clients that I might work with for a year before that turns into a paycheck. And you have clients that sometimes turn into these very long, engagements before it gets to that paycheck. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, not having one person who's got every 2 weeks, here is something, it means that sometimes it is feast and sometimes it is famine, especially in those early days, which can complicate things. You pay all your bills once,
it's like
and then
nothing less romantic than having no money.
That is kind of a mood killer.
Okay, so what would you say are some tips that you have if somebody wanted to go into business with a romantic partner, either, if they were going to start a business or enter a business? Because I think a lot of times, at the time of this recording, we're in the midst of a pandemic, right? But whether, it's like an economic downturn or the Great Recession, I mean, I think anytime we see disruptions, one of the things that I see a lot with my clients is that, when they're with a romantic partner that loses a job, or they have maybe not a lot of security within their position, a lot of times they end up getting hired into a romantic partner's business. Right. It's like if somebody needs help within their business and that romantic partner is someone that they trust and they need help, that happens pretty frequently. So what kind of advice would you give if romantic partners found themselves in that position that they're looking at working together?
I mean, I don't feel like romantic partners should be partners in a business if they don't feel passionate with both of them, like if they don't share that passion, because that is going to work itself out in bad ways. One person saying, "Oh, I love this. This is my passion. This is what I put my life into." You tag along. I mean, that will breed resentment or some type of conflict, I think, down the road. So I think it's really important for both people in business or businesses to be doing what they feel passionate about. So at the end of the day, it's worth it. Like, that's why we all start our own business. Well, it's why most people start their own business, is because they feel passionate about it. And for it to end up being somebody who's kind of not forced, but almost kind of like nudged into becoming an entrepreneur.
Well, and I think in a romantic relationship, nobody wants to feel like the employee or the subordinate. Like, right. I think that does not work out very well. Even if that role really does technically sort of report to the other person, I think it has to feel like there's that kind of equal effort, equal value, where there has to be that partnership and that appreciation.
Right. Our lives would be much more complicated if I had to train you. That would suck. Like, that would not work out well.
So we have an office manager that has been with us. We always try to figure out, she's been with us since our 9.5-year-old was only a few months old, so it's been like 9 years now. She's been with us for a really long time, and at this point she's kind of like the third sort of decision maker, and so she's really good. I think having kind of that tiebreaker person, not that we oftentimes can't sort of come to a decision between us, but if we're really having a tough time making a decision on something, it's really great to have Kelsey, who knows us so well. Yeah. She's just amazing, and she might have witnessed a couple of disagreements here and there, so she's
less than a dozen. Baker's dozen.
Big tops, maybe a couple more than that, maybe. But she's gotten to know us really, really well, and she's been extremely helpful. And so I think whether that is an office manager, or if that is a consultant or a coach, or just somebody that you trust really well within your business to help you make those choices, I think it's really great to have that outside perspective sometimes, especially if you really are kind of more bordering on disagreement than an inability to make a decision. It really is good to have that kind of outside perspective perspective of somebody who knows you and knows your style and knows your business really well, to sort of be that outside, perspective to help you make those decisions and help you to make it less personal and more about your business again.
Well, and somebody that knows your good habits and your bad habits. I mean, Kelsey knows
our strengths and
there
weaknesses.
Absolutely. There are times where I know that it is going to be easier for Kelsey to say to me, hey, you're doing this, than it might be for you to say that in that moment. And
or for you to hear it from her than from me.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm grateful at how good at being vocal she is. I mean, at this point, she has no problem just jumping in and saying something, but I mean, it really does. It's kind of this, it's like a tiebreaker, but it doesn't feel like it's a tiebreaker.
Right, it feels constructive.
Yeah, it isn't somebody taking sides or saying, well, I'm going to side with Jen on this one or Joe on that one. I mean, she knows us genuinely, and she knows where I might be making a decision too quick and I need to look at something different, and so she'll bring that up. So having somebody else that's in the mix that really truly understands us both is invaluable to us.
I'm also filled with glee when she gives you a hard time.
I know that.
Her piece of advice that I would give is to be forgiving. I think it can be both incredibly rewarding but also extremely challenging to work with your romantic partner. You are basically partnering in everything, and it's just not for the faint of heart. Like it's just very challenging. You're putting all your eggs in one basket. Like you are really like asking this other person to just kind of like put up with you all the time, to listen to all the problems and all the parts of your life. And it's easy when things are good, right? Like you can celebrate all the things all the time, but when things are not really going well, or you're not in a good mood, or you're not feeling good, or things are just not going your way, or you hit a bumpy phase, like it's really difficult. It's really hard, or when you get into a growth phase in your business and you're just tired. I mean, we all kind of have those times, and you're asking for a lot from that other person. It's not easy. And so I think just, remembering to be forgiving and just understanding that even more than just being in a romantic relationship with somebody, which, after the honeymoon's over, good relationships are work, right?
But awesome.
Amazing. We've been married a little over 17 years now.
Yes.
Right? So they're amazing and rewarding. But then you add in a professional relationship, and it's like a buttload of work.
It's a lot of other dynamics to throw into this.
It is.
This thing.
It is. So I think being forgiving and then really taking the time to truly appreciate and understand how much you are asking for from that other person. So thank you. You're an incredible partner. You're a great person to work with. I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
You come to my retreats and make omelets for my clients.
I do.
Custom omelets.
Custom omelets.
Yeah, they love you.
I chat them up. I'm like,
I think they come to retreats for you and your omelets more than they come for me.
Very likely.
I think it's totally possible.
Yes.
Yeah, so you're pretty great to work with.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
So are you. Can I throw one other thing in there?
I would love to. Yeah, please
Excellent.
do.
It comes off as crass, I think, but
good.
if you're going to work in close proximity with somebody that you are in a relationship with, I really think you have to really like that person. And I don't mean that people don't like their spouses, but I think there are a lot of people that are in relationships that are very appreciative of the fact that they get separate time, because they will kind of overwhelm each other. You genuinely have to look at that. If you're considering getting into business with your spouse or romantic partner, I think you genuinely have to think through, do I want to be around this person constantly and deal with them, when they're stressed out about work or a client or whatever that is. So liking your partner helps.
Liking your partner does help. I totally agree.
If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and mash that subscribe button.
Some days it feels like survival.
Yeah.